These are our incubators, which is where our cells live when they're growing. And so what we're creating in here is a physiological environment for the cells. So they're being kept at 37 degrees and under 5% CO2.
A cloud of liquid nitrogen spills out as several tubes filled with pinky liquid are pulled from a large cylinder kept at minus 196 degrees at Oppo Newmarket lab. Believe it or not, these tubes contain thousands of meat cells that are the building blocks of a future burger or sausage. It's a process known as cultivated meat. Since launching in 2022, the company has been preparing these so-called seeds, which are used to grow real meat products. Chief Scientist Louise Ternouth says while some companies take biopsies from live animals to get the cells, these ones are from dead animals supplied by farmers. Oppo supplies the seeds to overseas cultivated meat producers such as Sydney-based cultured meat company Vow, which grows them in bioreactors, big tanks similar to those used in beer brewing. The challenge, she says, is making something appetising.
For example, Vow has done an approach that's quite different in that they're going for a really high-end product, so they do a quail parfait as compared to, say, some of the other companies like Eat Just or something like that in Singapore who are doing like a chicken nugget.
At the moment, only the US and Singapore have sign-off to serve up the cultivated meat products, but Food Safety New Zealand and Australia is currently considering an application to bring it to market here.
Nutrition-wise, does it equal out the same?
So it should, because it comes from the same starting material. Where we're at currently is that there haven't been large-scale nutritional analyses done.
Professor of Microbiology and Food Safety at Massey University, Steve Flint, says crucial vitamins like B12 could be missing from cultivated meat. And the idea of meat grown in a lab might put people off.
Particularly in today's environment where the economy is not doing well and people are trying to get by as best they can, but they're going to go for the cheapest source of nutrition. So it's going to be a hard road for organisations like this to make an impact.
Oppo isn't the only startup exploring the possibilities of lab-grown food.
What we do is we take the strain and we put it inside this fermenter with sugars, some salts, some minerals, and then we grow it up.
Since 2021, Daisy Lab in Parnell has been creating proteins contained in dairy products through the process of precision fermentation. It's a refined form of brewing, but instead of brewing beer, it brews protein. Here's co-founder Emily McIsaac.
We're not producing whole milk the way that it comes out of a cow. That's a very complex liquid. A cow does that better than anything else ever could. But we can produce those individual proteins, which is what New Zealand really is in the industry of producing anyway. Most of our exports are milk proteins or dried down milk powder rather than whole milk.
Professor Steve Flint says producing proteins like lactoferrin, which are found in milk, could have a big benefit for the food industry.
If you could make it economically, then yes, it's an ingredient that we already have and need, but it could be made more successfully using precision fermentation.
Daisy Lab has been granted approval by the Environmental Protection Authority to ramp up its research 500-fold. Its scientists have plans to collaborate with food producers to create products like ice creams, yogurts and cheeses, ultimately getting them into supermarkets.
Precision fermentation offers a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, water use, land use, amongst other things. It's nutritionally identical without the environmental or ethical consequences of dairy farming.
Louise Ternouth from cultured meat company Oppo echoes this enthusiasm.
So we believe it's an and, not an or. We have good relationships with a number of New Zealand farmers, and that's actually where we source our starting material. We need to diversify as well. So New Zealand can't produce more meat than it already does. We can try and command a higher price, but we really need to bring in new technologies as well.